Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Facilities in Focus. My name is McKenna Morales, and I am the Associate Editor with FacilitiesNet and your host of this very podcast. Today, Amy Rusa is joining me. Amy is the founder and executive director of the Safety Rack, a nonprofit dedicated to closing the personal protective equipment equity gap for women through education, research, and advocacy. Amy is also the co-founder of the Midwest Women in Safety Conference, the region's premier professional development event for women in safety leadership. With more than 20 years of experience leading safety initiatives, she has become a trusted advisor to organizations seeking to elevate safety standards and create more inclusive workspaces. But thank you so much for joining me today, Amy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. It's always kind of fun to hear or to see people's reaction to reading their bio out loud because it's always like, oh, I guess I do accomplish a lot of stuff.
I think I'm getting used to hearing it sometimes too. So I'm like,
Uh,
okay, yeah, I've done this, been there, done that. Keep doing
so
it.
we're talking all things personal protective equipment today. And moving forward, just for our listeners, I will just be using the acronym PPE to make things easier for everyone. But I know that this has been a long time passion for you, but I feel like, and maybe this is just ignorance on my end, but I feel like proper PPE has only really became a headline once COVID first started. How did you first get interested in this type of thing?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's ignorance. I think you're correct that it did get a little bit more attention, especially in the medical field with respirators, and that was a good thing. I have been doing this now since about 2018 when I co-founded the Midwest Women in Safety Conference. We were having a discussion on PPE and women's access to it because it just wasn't fitting us. And, part of the conversation was, oh, there's nothing on the market. Oh, you wear unisex, which is just scaled down men's PPE. And in that moment, I just had this like, oh, I'm part of a problem and I need to be part of a solution as the safety professional. If PPE is the last line of defense against the worker and the hazard, it needs to be the strongest. And for a lot of women and men included, it's not. And so I really started exploring it back then. And by 2022, I had the Safety Rack going as just a social media platform. And, we're on the tail end of COVID then too. So seeing a lot of like the stories of the medical professionals and stuff like that. So when we launched in 2022, I thought I was just going to just talk about the clothes and where to buy them. And the amount of conversations I was having with women on Instagram, on LinkedIn, people somehow found my email, my personal email, and was emailing me. And I was like, we need to do more. And so we became a nonprofit. We've published the Equity and Safety Survey. And what we're discovering is about 1 in 5 women are being injured by their PPE.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah. And 2 out of 5 women are having a near miss on a job site.
Hi.
Mhm.
And then when it's PPE, it's not just like clothing items or the face masks, right? It's everything safety kind of because I took tech ed a lot when I was in middle school for some reason. That was always the class I ended up in. And I am still very afraid of getting my hair caught in things. And I remember that was a big thing that, because I always have had really long hair, that our teachers always warned me about was that I have to have my hair pulled back when using machinery.
Yeah, I think it's so we look at the entire person as a whole, right? How are they interacting in their environment with their equipment, their surroundings, and how does that PPE interact with them as they're interacting with their environment? And that's something we're exploring more of in the next year with the safety rack. And to your point, yes, are we putting our hair back, but do we have the right hard hat for it or the right bump cap for it that's going to stay on our head and not cause more issues? We're finding that women are losing their hair because their hard hats just rip it out. It's not designed correctly for women. Um, right? Like, could you imagine that? Like, just losing your hair because it's being snagged?
That's so unfair.
Yeah.
That's so unfair. That sounds so
Yeah.
painful too. I have never once thought, and granted, I've never had a job where I've had to wear a hard hat, but I've never once have thought about that.
Yeah. Or
And
if
if
I,
I'm not thinking about that, other people definitely aren't.
yeah. And there are, like, I know a lady working on that problem right now, but when I started the journey, there was only a few brands, and now, like, we have a safety directory on the safety rack where you can go and it's by category and find FR clothing, find maternity wear, bras, because we don't have those conversations, or employers don't think, okay, if my employee needs an FR coverall, she's likely going to need a bra with it too, because you don't want her to wear a regular bra with underwire. You need to have that base layer protection as well. And we can go from that all the way down to feet. A lot of shoe designs are still based off of a man's last, so a male footprint instead of a female footprint. And our feet
Mm-hmm.
are totally different than a men's. So if you shrink it and you pink it and you say, oh, this should be good enough for you, it's not, because there's going to be lasting damage. If I'm wearing shoes designed for a man and I'm standing and working in them 8 to 12 hours a day, there's going to be an ergonomic impact on my body. And
Mm-hmm.
that's going to resonate as long-term issues down the road. So there's a piece to this where we're looking at it right now, and I want to capture more data where we're probably not seeing the connection between PPE and workers' comp, but it's there. And we just need to
Right.
figure out how to capture that data, because over the long term or even short term, we're exposing the worker to an unnecessary risk and health hazard. And it's an
Right.
easy fix too, right? The problem that we have with this is the myth and misconception that female PPE is more expensive and it's harder to get.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
So you use the phrase shrink it and pink it. I know what that means because I follow you on LinkedIn. For people who are listening, please follow Amy on LinkedIn. You learn a lot from her posts. But can you just explain what that means a little bit?
Yeah. It's taking the male version of something and they shrink it down a little bit. And they used to throw pink on it. They still kind of do, which annoys me because, by the way, pink is not an ANSI approved high vis color. But they'll put it, they'll take a safety vest, they'll shrink it down, they'll slap pink on it, and they call it a women's vest, and that's how they market it. And it's just so annoying for one thing. And I think it undermines everything that we work for in this industry as women to have that be given to us. What does that actually say to us as women, that that's how we're seen, and that's what somebody in a design room thinks I want on a job site, when all I want is to blend in, not stand
Right.
out.
That actually relates to a question that I have written, but how does ill-fitting or non-inclusive PPE affect worker safety and performance?
It can slow them down. So if I'm wearing a garment that is shifting throughout the course of my day, I'm going to constantly reshift it to be comfortable, which means I'm taking eyes and focus off task, right? In
Mm-hmm.
my surrounding areas. It could cause a trip hazard. So I just talked to a woman the other day who was looking for coveralls because she's very petite. Her coveralls keep getting underneath her boot and it's causing a trip issue, especially when she's like walking down a slope or walking upstairs. And so
Right.
we were navigating that issue. Gloves can be too big. So a female hand, our width, size, and circumference is completely different than a man's. So if I don't have the ability to grip and manipulate and have that dexterity, I'm likely just going to take off my glove. Or,
Right.
as I found out from a lady just recently who's still on workers' comp, her finger got caught in the machine because there was excess fabric and it took her finger in. And
Does
now
she
she's
still
got
have her
9
finger?
fingers. She's like 9 3/4.
No.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Yeah. Uh, so, I mean, these are the real life scenarios that are happening. And we need to navigate this conversation because employers, safety professionals, we have an obligation to make it safer for everybody. And as I've navigated this conversation, I have a lot of men coming up to me going, well, my PPD doesn't fit either. Absolutely agrees with you. I really agree with them.
Yeah, and you
My
should be
goal
upset about that too.
too, yeah. But the the predominant issue right now that I'm focused on is the women. My goal, though, is as we close that equity gap, we actually improve their equity gap with better products as well.
Hmm. Um, and then why do you think PPE design has historically overlooked women and gender diversity?
I think that primarily, let's take like the trades for instance, it's you're fitting men and you need the SKUs to be built in bulk, and that's what the manufacturers have done. And I'm not dissing manufacturers when I say that. That was your target audience, but along the way, there were still women throughout the last decades going into all this that have just been left unprotected. There's a picture I absolutely love of these two British female welders in World War II, and they're out on a smoke break, and she's just got an apron and it's layered up. She's got it wrapped around her waist several times to hold it in place, and on her legs is just what looks to be like these straps of leather that she's taken, and she's just taken rope and put it around her legs as her own personal protective equipment.
Oh my goodness. I do think people forget that women are involved in the trades. And it's only, we talk about this a lot in facilities management, trying to get women in the industry or even trying to get younger people in the industry. They are there. You just have to recognize that they are there. Like at NFMT Remix this year, I felt like it was an even split between men and women. And that was the first time I've ever felt that way in the facilities management conference. There are women here. We have to be equitable in these types of situations.
Yeah, no, and I think that's great that you saw that at this year's conference, that you're seeing the space start to grow. There's a lot more women influxing into these careers because the pay gap is a lot closer than in other industries. We just need to be more mindful as a community of safety professionals, as leaders, to look at that and say, are we actually thinking about our PPE program from an equitable standpoint? And are we doing the work? Are we going out, we're observing, we're asking the questions, we're doing PPE trials, we're doing the job hazard assessments, because now's the time to do that as more of these women are coming in. I got very lucky not that long ago. Last year, I worked with a former employer in the propane sector that is having kind of troubleshooting that issue. They're having more female bobtail drivers come in, and they were complaining about their PPE. So they reached out to me knowing what I did, and we navigated that conversation. It was along the way with their safety and procurement when we were talking about like FR bras, where they paused and they're like, I guess I never stopped to think that they would need that. Well, of
Right,
course you wouldn't. You've never needed to wear a bra as a man. So why would you think about that stuff? This is
right.
why when we look at our safety program, that's the importance of reevaluating it, but making sure that we're not just the safety professional in their office alone behind a closed door. Oh, yep, it looks good. It looks like it meets OSHA code. No, take it to your safety committee. Take it to your procurement. Are we doing everything that we need to? What's working,
Right.
what's not? Because the biggest thing I found in my 20 plus years in safety is if you involve the employee in the decision-making process, you're going to have a greater compliance on it.
Hmm.
You're going to have them want to be safer, wear the product, and they're going to also feel valued at the end of the day. And that's an amazing thing.
Right. And they're gonna point out things that you might not think about. I remember the last time we talked for an article, and I'll make sure to link that below. You explained how wearing like a construction vest or a safety vest, if it doesn't fit you right, it can get stuck on things. And I know that that is one of the most annoying things to happen. Like when your belt loop gets caught on the door handle, that can like ruin your day. So I
I've
can't
been
imagine,
there.
I can't imagine dealing with that all day long and just trying to be safe, trying not to like be or just yeah, just trying to be safe and you're just like constantly having to adjust yourself.
You know what? When I was a kid, it was great when I was little, grabbing my dad's work boots and putting them on and running around the house. It's not okay as a female professional to feel like I'm wearing my dad's boots on a job site.
Mhm.
So we need to be more mindful of that. And I think we're getting there. The conversation has definitely grown in the last few years, and not just from what I'm doing. There's a lot of people in the space doing the work, but we're also starting to see OSHA updated their construction standard. So we got that saying that the PPE must fit the employee. We're seeing that the UK is making more inclusive language in their standard recommendations. And hopefully we can start providing more data so that those standards can be redeveloped and changed. Right now, you can't change a standard if you don't have the data, and we're missing a lot of that data for women across
Right.
every industry, whether it's facilities management, it's construction, it's wind turbines, female turnout gear, police officers, ballistic vests, it's all there. There's gaps in every industry with PPE.
Right. What do you think gender inclusive PPE really means? And how can we make this not be such a challenge in the workplace?
I think it means that the PPE fits the individual. That's gender inclusive PPE. Where we need to focus that is getting back to the manufacturing level to really understand what that data looks like. We're basing all of our designs off of outdated data. There's some data that's coming out that's really good, but if we can start looking at being more size inclusive, so say you have a manufacturer, glove manufacturer, and they're only running a size small to 2XL because they can make a lot of SKUs and they can sell all that. But I need somebody that can make an extra small glove for my 5'4", 90-pound friend who's working construction. But I also need them to make a size 7X glove for my guy friend in a mechanic shop. True story, by the way. I had to go find a pair of 7XL gloves for him. That was a
Wow.
challenge. That's being inclusive, right? But where we need to focus on that is the employer needs to set that expectation. There needs to be a process to capture that data when the employee's first coming in and be able to pass it down to the distributor and say, you're going to have to find the brands if you want to keep my business. Because if you
Right.
do that, then they're going to push back on the manufacturer.
Mhm. And I know that nothing about safety should be quick. You got to really take your time and ensure that your
Yeah.
employees are good. But is there anything that employers could easily implement within their PPE so that their employees are a little bit more safe?
Go back to the basics. Review your policy, go do your job hazard assessments with a focus on PPE, capture that data, have your safety committee ask around about how PPE is working, and then talk to your distributor. You
What
need
do
to be
you
just,
look for though
what do
during
I
like
look
a during an assessment, a PPE assessment?
for me when I've done the PPE assessments? I'm looking at one, does it fit the hazard, right? Do we have like the right cut level? Do we have the right cal rating on FR equipment? But then I'm looking at how that individual operator or operators are interacting with their surroundings and that PPE that they're currently using, or how they might need to interact with it down the road. That's how I'm going to determine what they need. A good example for this was I worked in an industry where they were basically repairing pallets all day long. We had a $40 pair of gloves, or no, I think it was like a $17 pair of gloves or something, and we were constantly getting injuries with splinters and pieces of wood just going through their hands. Great cut level, but the glove itself and the way it was designed just wasn't cutting it. And so I went out, I observed for a whole day how the guys interacted with their machines, with the pallets, how they moved in their environment, and I just asked a ton of questions. And I
Mhm.
broke down each of their steps in that, job hazard assessment. And then I went back to the distributor and I went, this glove isn't working. They're like, oh, but we gave you a great discount on it. Great. The glove isn't working. Listen to what I'm saying, please. Not listening to respond. And so I went outside of the distributor and did the research, found another glove company where it was like a $35 pair of gloves. Probably almost gave the plant manager an aneurysm when I told him that, because the look on his face, like, you want to buy a more expensive glove. Yeah, because I don't want another hand injury. I was taking guys to the emergency room to take out 2 to 3 inch splinters from their hand. It was gross. And also
Right.
just it impinges their ability to make an income when they're off for a few days and they can't make their full salary. So we got a bunch of trials in this, I can't even think of the glove company, but oh my goodness, they were so great. They sent me like 50 pairs of gloves and I had the guys trial them out. And lo and behold, what we found out, not only did we see a reduction of penetration on that cut resistance and into the gloves lasted longer. Before they were
Right.
going through a glove every day to 2 days.
Oh,
Some guys,
wow.
yeah, some guys could get their gloves to last the entire week.
Hmm.
So, like, yes, telling the plant manager, yeah, I'm gonna go spend $13 or whatever it was more on a glove, but the outcome was we actually ended up saving money and reducing the injuries in the place. So it's like
Right.
we got to do the work. We got to take the risk of doing that work to get the reward back and to
Right.
keep the employee safe.
And if I have learned anything, especially when it comes to shoes, you pay for what you get.
Yeah.
And so pay a little bit extra for the quality of the shoe or the quality of the PPE because you're going to be in less pain. I cannot tell you how many pairs of shoes I have gone through that have just hurt me, cause blisters, and I'm a journalist. Like it's pretty low stakes here. When you're on the work floor for a trade job for facility managers, you need this quality, high quality PPE so that you're not getting hurt. I don't understand how people don't prioritize safety more,
Yeah.
basically.
Well, I think in the priority of the day, right? If we make safety a priority or make safety, we make PPE a priority. It's just that it's on a list of things to do today. If we make it a value, it's a core belief that never changes. So we just
Mhm.
have to make that mind shift.
Right. And especially in the trades industry, these jobs are hard on your body. When you have the correct equipment, you can prolong your career. And
Yeah.
I like having money. I'm sure that most people do. Use the right equipment so that you can stay working.
Yeah. Use it and make sure that it's the correct one, and you'll see the injury reductions.
Mhm.
And you'll also see a turnover, or you're seeing probably a little bit of reduction of turnover. I'm guesstimating here, don't quote me on this one too much. But if I have, as a woman, the PPE that fits, if my employer took the time to ask me what I needed and what was working, I'm going to feel more valued. If I feel more valued, I'm probably more likely to feel like I can speak up on issues, but also stay with that employer longer, tell my girlfriends about that and that they should come work with me because I have an employer that cares versus just deal with it, suck it up. We don't want to hear you complain about it. And now I'm just going to go look for another job and I get the burnout.
It really is a company culture thing
Mhm.
too. Like you said, if they're asking your opinion, you feel welcomed, you're going to stay. I don't think you need like backing up data to know that, but like that is a well-known thing
Yeah.
even in your own organization or company.
Yeah.
You know that you're more willing to stay with people if they treat you well.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, how many of us have felt unvalued by stuff like this? You just maybe don't catch it all the time because it becomes the norm, right? I sat in front of that conference the first year we did Midwest Women in Safety, realizing, oh my goodness, I just bought into this belief system and I'm part of a problem. Now I'm part of the solution for it. And so many employers are becoming part of the solution for it. And that's a great thing at the end of the day to see.
Right. And when I was in college, the school I went to had a pretty big construction program. And I remember I worked with a few people in the cafeteria who had safety majors. And I remember thinking that was so dumb. And now, as an adult with a fully developed frontal lobe, I can't imagine like a more important degree to be offered because there's so many aspects to safety that I think people overlook. And it's stuff like PPE too.
Yeah. That's why we have safety professionals. So
Hmm.
things get overlooked and the human factor will always be there. So we will always be there to help mitigate it.
Yeah, so I love safety professionals. I'm so sorry to all the people that have rolled my eyes at
We need to get
in
you
the
a mug that
past.
says that.
I write for the trades now. I understand how important your job is.
Well, I
But
appreciate that. So, and I'm sure any safety professional listening appreciates that too.
yes, how do you see the conversation around inclusive PPE evolving over the next couple of years?
Um, that's a good question. I know from the standpoint of the Safety Rack, what we're looking at for our strategic plan is a lot more studies and research getting done to get that data out there. And as we see more data coming out from either the Safety Rack or universities or other programs that are out there, organizations, I think it's going to continue to grow and the awareness is really going to be impactful, or at least I hope it's impactful, because we got to lead this with intention at the end of the day. We're leading this with the end user needs to be protected, so let's have the discussion. So we're taking
Right,
it as proactively as we can and not being reactive to it.
right. And then what message? I This is going to be a little heavy, but what message would you give to facility managers who think PPE is one size fits all?
It's not.
Hmm.
Um, and you need to go observe it, or you need to put some PPE on that doesn't fit you at all, and then you'll get it. This
Right,
is about protection at the end of the day, and it needs to be the strongest layer of protection for the workers. And if you value your workers, you'll do that mind shift to that way.
right. Don't just shrink it and pink it. Get stuff that actually fits for all employees because we all come in different shapes and sizes, and one size does not fit all. I I'm only 4'11", so when people are like, "Oh, this will fit you," and then I'm like drowning in it. One size does not fit all. Most things go to like my ankles. So, yeah, try the things on, see the people in person using it. And I think this is an example of like walking the floor. You got to do the job yourself every once in a while to see how it really affects people.
Yeah, you gotta do the work to fix the problem.
Hmm. But Amy, that's all that I have for you today. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Thank you for having me. It's always wonderful to talk and connect with you.
Oh, thank you. And then can you just tell the people where they can find you?
Oh, everywhere. No, www.thesafetyrack.org. You can reference the Equity and Safety Report and also check out our directory if you're trying to find PPE. If you're still struggling or needing some help, you can reach out to me through the Safety Rack or through LinkedIn. And I'm happy to always help.
And like I said before, make sure to follow Amy on LinkedIn. I learn a lot from her almost every day. I actually found her from a viral LinkedIn post. So make sure to connect with her. And I will include the safety rack, Amy's LinkedIn, and our previous article that we worked on together in the show notes. But thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Facilities in Focus podcast. Facilities in Focus is a product of the facility market, which houses FacilitiesNet, building operating management, facilities maintenance decisions, and healthcare facilities today. Thank you to our sound and video editor, Paul Ellertson. Thank you to Morgan Johnson for designing our logo. Thank you to Dan Melton, Dave Lubach, Dan Hounsell, Jeff Warden, Jill McDermott, and everyone else at Trade Press Media Group. For comments, or if you are interested in being a guest on Facilities in Focus, please email us at fnpodcast@tradepress.com.